Today we have another topic in the second unit. Is the biochemical activities of microbes in milk. To understand the topic, let us know what are the outcomes of this topic. To understand the biochemical activities of microbes in milk, to learn the biochemical changes of milk, to know the types of microbes formed in milk. What are the biochemical tests? Differentiation of organisms based on their ability to break down complex macromolecules into simpler nutritional constants. Biochemical changes are due to acid-forming microbes, gas-forming microbes, ropey milk-forming microbes, proteolytic microbes, and lipolytic microbes. Acid-forming microbes, certain bacteria bring natural fermentation of milk. The most common type is the lactic acid fermentation, which takes place during thawing of milk under natural conditions. Milk of good sanitary quality, when kept under conditions, allows the growth of Streptococcus species and Lactobacillus species. Streptococcus species ferment lactose quickly but do not produce as high concentration of lactic acid as members of the genus Lactobacillus do. Certain coliform bacteria like Clostridium butyricum ferments lactose to acids, and also and this is accompanied by the accumulation of gases, the gas being usually a mixture of CO2 and hydrogen. This Clostridium butyricum produces large amount of CO2, whereas coliform bacteria produce hydrogen in addition. The next one is the ropey milk forming bacteria. Is nothing else the conversion of liquid milk to viscous material by the action of microbes is called as the ropey fermentation. These microorganisms synthesize a viscous polysaccharide material that forms a slime layer or a capsule around the cells. Viscolysis, Enterobacter aerogenesis, Streptococcus credemoris are the some of the species of Micrococcus which are responsible for ropey fermentation. This ropey milk is not deleterious to health, but usually objectionable due to its appearance and is frequently used as the culture medium. The next one is the proteolytic bacteria. There are some bacteria like Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus aureus are the proteolytic bacteria which are present in the milk. These microorganisms hydrolyze milk protein and they increase the pH. Proteolysis may be preceded by coagulation of the casein by the enzyme renin elaborated by bacteria, resulting in the formation of a soluble form of casein. This proteolysis degrades the casein to peptides, which may be further degraded to amino acids, which are responsible for alkaline reaction and bitter taste of milk. The last one is the lipolytic microorganisms. Some of the microorganisms produce enzymes like lipases, which split milk fat to glycerol and fatty acids. So these fatty acids have a sharp flavor. This causes imparting rancid flavor and odor to milk. So these lipolytic microorganisms present in the milk are the bacteria such as Pseudomonas fluorescens, Acrobacter lipolyticum, etc. And also some yeast, Candida lipolytica, are which ones these are called the type of a lipolytic microorganisms. You see now the proteins, starch and the fat. So macromolecules are polymers of the monomeric subunits. So hydrolysis reaction cleave polymers into monomers by adding water. These are the structures of the glycogen. So for one test which can be done is starch test. Starch test differentiates bacteria based on their ability to hydrolyze starch with the extracellular enzyme amylase. Starch is too large to pass through the bacterial cell wall to be of a metabolic value to the bacteria. This starch must be split into smaller fragments or individual glucose molecules. So divide one starch plate into two-thirds and inoculate with E. coli, Bacillus cereus and Pseudomonas aeruginosus. So you see starch and its sugar subunits are clear in the medium. And iodine is used to detect the presence or absence of starch around the bacteria. Iodine reacts with starch and produces a blue-black color. After addition of iodine to the plate media, any microbial starch hydrolysis by the exoenzyme amylase reveals a clear zone around the bacterial growth. The next test is the lipid hydrolysis test. This is used to identify bacteria capable of producing the exoenzyme lipase. So triglycerides are too large to enter the bacterial cell. Bacteria that produce and secrete lipase enzyme hydrolyze triglycerides into glycerol and 3 fatty acid chains. So this is how the lipase is. The triglyceride is now hydrolyzed by the lipase. So you divide the petri plate into two-thirds and inoculate one with E. coli, one part of it, another part with Bacillus cereus and another one with Pseudomonas aeruginosus. So you see tributane agar plates contain the triglyceride tributane and are initially opaque. Nothing you see. So lipase positive organism will exhibit a clear zone around their growth. Tributane has been hydrolyzed. Next one is the casein hydrolysis test. So this identifies bacteria capable of hydrolyzing casein with the enzyme casease. Casein is the protein that gives milk its color. To be utilized by certain bacteria, casein must be broken down into smaller subunits and amino acids. Same way, skim milk agar plate, you make it in 3 parts. Inoculate one part with E. coli, another one with Bacillus, and the third one with aerogenus. So bacteria that secrete the proteolytic exoenzyme casease hydrolyze milk protein, thus creating a zone of clearing around the bacterial growth. So the next one is the gelatin hydrolysis. It's a test for the ability of an organism to produce the exoenzyme gelatinase, which digests and liquefies gelatin. Gelatin is protein derived from collagen, a connective tissue found in vertebrates. This gelatin is too large to enter the bacterial cell. However, its amino acids may be used as an energy source or built back up into bacterial protein. So nutrient gelatin tubes are stabbed inoculated with the following microorganisms: E. coli, Bacillus cereus and Pseudomonas aeruginosus. You see the nutrient gelatin melts at 28 degrees centigrade. Care must be taken to distinguish between organisms capable of producing gelatinase and gelatin tubes that are affected by incubator temperature. After incubation, tubes should be refrigerated. Tubes should be inoculated with gelatinase positive organisms. They remain liquid even after refrigeration. So after the refrigeration, you see E. coli is gelatinase negative and Pseudomonas aeruginosus gelatinase is the positive. Color changes, you can see it. So carbohydrate fermentation, phenol red carbohydrate drop. Differential tests to detect the ability of an organism to ferment various carbohydrates. Phenol red is the pH indicator, that is the yellow below 6.8 and red above 7.4. A Durham tube is used to trap any gas produced from the fermentation of various sugars. So phenol red glucose broth tubes. So inoculate about the tubes with the following organisms, that is E. coli, Pseudomonas vulgaris, Aerobacter fecalis and Saccharomyces aureus. So results, you see the results is an uninoculated control and growth and acid production from carbohydrate fermentation are seen. and in the second tube gas are produced from fermentation. So triple sugar ion test used to differentiate among the different groups of Enterobacteriaceae based on their ability to ferment glucose, lactose and sucrose. So these are the sugars, triple sugar test. Also they differentiate between groups capable of reducing sulfur to hydrogen sulfide gas. So procedure is so these are the medium contains all these ingredients, and triple sugar test agar slants inoculate with the following. So Aerogenus, E. coli, vulgaris, Pracundi, mirabilis and the picalis. So medium is inoculated by stab and streak methods. And you see the result, red slant, red but no fermentation, red and yellow only glucose fermentation is there, yellow slant, yellow blood, lactose and sucrose fermentation. So dark color is hydrogen sulfide is produced. So these are the triple sugar tests. I hope you understood the biochemical tests in milk.